Could your consciousness be reborn in another body? What if a 2-year-old boy started having vivid nightmares about a plane crash, screaming, "Airplane crash on fire, little man can't get out"? The story goes that this boy, James Leininger, knew impossible details about a World War II pilot's life and death. He allegedly knew the name of the aircraft carrier he flew from, the name of a co-pilot, and the exact way he died. It's a compelling tale, one that's often presented as stunningly verified. However, the James Leininger case is also highly debated. Recent critical analysis has pointed out that the boy had access to World War II books and documentaries, and that the story may have been shaped over time by his family. This controversy highlights a bigger question. These strange and compelling stories of children with apparent past life memories are not just fringe ideas anymore. They're being seriously investigated at major academic institutions, forcing us to ask if what we believe about life and death might be incomplete. For decades, a small group of scientists has documented over 2,500 of these cases, building a database of claims that are, if nothing else, incredibly thought-provoking. So, could your consciousness be reborn? Let's look at what the research actually says. Section 1. The science of alleged past lives. The epicenter of this research is a surprisingly mainstream place, the University of Virginia School of Medicine. Here, the Division of Perceptual Studies, or DOPS, was founded in 1967 by psychiatrist Dr. Ian Stevenson. He pioneered the systematic study of children who report memories of previous lives, and today, that work is continued by Dr. Jim Tucker. Together, they've investigated more than 2,500 cases from all over the world. A distinct pattern has emerged from these decades of research. The claims of memory almost always begin spontaneously in children between the ages of 2 and 6. They speak about a past life with a sense of immediacy, often describing names, places, and events with surprising accuracy. In the strongest cases, researchers report that these details have been verified, matching the life of a specific deceased individual who was often completely unknown to the child's family. Take the case of Ryan Hammonds from Oklahoma. At 4, he reportedly began waking from screaming nightmares, begging to go back to his other home in Hollywood. He claimed he was a powerful agent, had danced on Broadway, and lived in a house with a huge pool. After his mother contacted Dr. Tucker's team, a film archivist eventually found a man who seemed to fit the description: Marty Martin, an agent who died in 1964. Researchers, along with Martin's own daughter, were later able to reportedly verify an astonishing 55 specific claims made by young Ryan. But what pushes these cases from intriguing stories into the realm of scientific inquiry is what Dr. Stevenson considered to be potential physical evidence. In a significant number of cases, children who remember a past life are born with birthmarks or rare birth defects that seem to correspond to wounds, often fatal, on the body of the deceased person. Stevenson documented cases of children with marks that matched bullet entry and exit wounds or knife scars, with the locations sometimes corroborated by autopsy reports. Mainstream science does not accept these findings as conclusive, and alternative explanations like coincidence or reporting bias have not been ruled out. But it does raise a wild question. How could a child's body possibly manifest physical marks that align with the life of a stranger? Section 2. Beyond simple memories. But is it just memories, or is something more being carried over? The research from DOPS suggests the phenomenon is deeper. Some children exhibit behaviors and emotions that don't fit their own families. For instance, a child might have a deep phobia of water after remembering a life that ended in drowning. These children don't just recall facts. They seem to retain the feelings tied to them. Even more startling are what researchers call interval memories. Some children don't just recall a past life. They describe the period between that life and this one. They talk about watching their own funeral, or even meeting the person who would become their new mother. These memories, as strange as they sound, often correlate with the strongest and most accurate cases of past life recall. Skeptics often propose that these cases are just a product of cultural conditioning in places that already believe in reincarnation, like India or Sri Lanka. And while many cases are documented there, researchers have found them all over the world, including Europe and North America. Dr. Tucker has focused much of his work on American cases, like James Leininger and Ryan Hammond's, showing this is a global phenomenon, independent of cultural belief. Furthermore, long-term studies from DOPS have shown these children tend to be psychologically normal, which challenges the idea that the memories are a sign of fantasy proneness or mental distress. Section 3. The quantum connection. If any of this is real, how is it even possible? The brain that held the original memories is gone. For a potential and highly speculative answer, some scientists are turning to the most mind-bending field of all: quantum physics. The core idea is a radical one. What if consciousness isn't produced by the brain? What if the brain is more like an antenna, tuning into a universal field of consciousness? This concept, known as the quantum consciousness hypothesis, suggests that consciousness could be a fundamental, non-material part of the universe. If that's true, it's possible that consciousness, or its information, is conserved after the body dies. Theories like the ORC-OR theory from Nobel laureate Roger Penrose and Dr. Stuart Hameroff propose that consciousness arises from quantum processes inside our neurons. While the theory remains controversial and unproven, some recent research has explored how anesthetics, which switch consciousness off, might work by affecting these quantum processes, lending a sliver of new interest to the idea. This opens the door to fringe ideas like a quantum reincarnation theory, which posits that the self is a quantum entity that persists beyond death. It suggests consciousness doesn't die. It simply transmigrates. It's important to be crystal clear. These quantum theories are highly speculative and are not accepted by mainstream science. There is no direct empirical proof, but they represent a serious attempt to build a model of reality that can account for the strange and persistent data coming from past life research. Section 4. A broader perspective. While these scientific inquiries might seem new, the core idea is ancient. For thousands of years, spiritual traditions have explored rebirth. In Hinduism, it's the transmigration of the Atman, or soul, through a cycle of lives guided by karma. Buddhism speaks of rebirth without a permanent soul, where the karmic imprints of one life influence the conditions of the next. What's fascinating is that modern science, in its own way, is starting to ask the same questions these traditions have pondered for millennia. The language is different: quantum information versus karma streams. But the fundamental query is the same. Is death the end? Or is it a transition? Conclusion. So where does this leave us? We have the hauntingly specific accounts of over 2,500 children, collected by a dedicated university division. We have intriguing, though controversial, reports of birthmarks that seem to map onto past traumas. And we have speculative theories in quantum physics that, while far from proven, offer a potential path for how consciousness might survive death. This is not definitive proof, not even close. Science is a slow, cautious process. But the accumulated claims present an interesting challenge to the purely materialistic view that your mind is just your brain. The data from DOPS suggests that consciousness may be far more mysterious than we ever imagined. It compels us to remain open, to keep asking questions, and to wonder about the true nature of who we are. It leaves us with one final thought-provoking question. If your consciousness is not just a temporary product of your brain, who were you before you were you? What do you believe? Have you had an experience that challenges the conventional view of life and death? Share your thoughts and stories in the comments below. We read them all, and if you want to explore more questions that challenge the boundaries of our reality, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell.